diesel. It's a rare spec of this generation of Corollas that was not sold for very long in the United States. And by the time this car came out to the United States, diesel cars had lost their popularity, so it did not sell very well. Under the bonnet is the Toyota 1C diesel engine, which is naturally aspirated. It makes about 56 horsepower and about 90 to 100 foot-pounds of torque. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but this car weighs like 2,200 pounds with the automatic transmission, which isn't too bad. It can get like 40 to 60 or 70 miles a gallon, depending on how you drive it, which makes it really good commuter, but it is very slow compared to everything else I have, and even cars for the era. Like most cars, if not all of them from this era, this one uses mechanical fuel injection with this diesel injector pump, which makes it an indirect injection diesel engine. I had it rebuilt and resealed about 2 years ago because it leaked. And I also had the timing belt changed because it runs off the timing belt. Some of the other mechanical things that were done to this car include redoing all the brakes, replacing the valve cover gasket, and I replaced a fan relay for the radiator fan because one fan would just run constantly and the other one would never turn on. It was basically hardwired in the fuse box, and I took an actual fan relay from my parts car and stuck it in there instead. And now it works properly and both fans turn on when the car hits operating temps, which is great. The theme of this car is tan and brown. Lots of tan and brown. Entire interior and exterior. I even added this tan blanket here with some red pillows and a brown towel up above. And I also have a brown dashboard cover. The interior of this car is very comfortable for how small it is, besides the back seats, which are a little tight on the legs, but it feels pretty roomy in here because it really is. It's just a thin box, but the interior is in very good condition, as you can see. The seat here and this seat are in good shape, no rips. Dashboard's in really great shape, no cracks or fading. I have the dash cover on it just for extra protection though. And the radio works. It's an AM/FM radio. I just use my Bluetooth transmitter so I can listen to whatever songs I want when I want. There's a good sized glove box here. It only has one exterior mirror, which is on the driver's side. I believe it was optional to get a passenger mirror, but also what sucks is the adjustment for the mirror is literally taking your hand out the window and moving the mirror around. There's no joystick right there. That was another thing I believe that could be optioned on this car. Despite this being the most reliable car I've ever owned, it does have a few problems. First being the headliner is sagging a little. It really does need to be replaced. The second thing is this car does have optional air conditioning, but it does not work. And I think the compressor's seized or just there's like something wrong with it because it doesn't turn on when you turn on the air conditioning. And the third thing that's wrong with this car is the glow plug should probably be replaced, and sometimes it has a hard time starting, especially when it's colder. I mean, everything on this car is original. It only has like 37,000 miles on it now. I bought it with 34,000 miles on it. So I put decent mileage on it. Doesn't really have a whole lot wrong with it, but you know, old car problems, right? As you can see, the seats in this car are in great shape. They're pretty comfortable and decently supportive. I just wish they had a little bit more adjustments. So all it does is forward and backwards and tilt. If you got the LE trim, I believe you got height adjustable driver's seat, which is nice. But the quality of materials and durability of these seats is really good. Then again, this car doesn't have a lot of miles, but from other ones I've seen with higher miles, the interior seems to hold up pretty well, especially the seats. Leather seats and vinyl seats tend to like split and crack and get like hard over time. That's why I prefer the cloth seats in older cars. This car has a decently sized trunk, and it's pretty deep, and it has a low lift over, which is good. As you can see, it's missing the trunk mat, If you have one for sale or you know anybody that has one for sale, let me know. I will buy it. The LE Corollas have the folding rear seats, which is really nice. So this car just has fixed seats, which I'm not a big fan of, but I'm not really ever driving this car and putting a lot of stuff in it, so it doesn't matter that much.
My 1987 Honda Accord LXi hatchback. I got it from California on Bring a Trailer. I had it shipped over from there to here in Massachusetts. It's no longer on the factory wheels. When I got it, it was sitting on these 15-inch Momo Star wheels. I also have upsized tires, no longer on the factory setup either. So one of the first things I noticed when I got the car was that it didn't have AC. I think there's a small leak somewhere, so I've lost all the refrigerant. For that reason, I had all the glass tinted. So all the glass excluding the sunroof and the windshield is with Massachusetts state legal tint, which I think is 35%. It filters out all UV rays and the infrared light, so that really keeps down on the interior heat that I feel. I do like the darkened look that ties in with the black trim and my tinted plates, and again, it really keeps down on the heat. Before I got these tinted, I was sitting in it for 20 seconds on a hot day, and by the time I got out of the car, I was drenched in sweat. Like my arms, I was soaked. So it's a necessity, and it really keeps the interior safe from the heat if it is being stored outside. Underneath that big ass beautiful bonnet houses the A28-3 engine. That's a 4-cylinder, okay? I don't know a ton about this car, despite having it for over a year now. I haven't given it that much of my time because I have a 1990 Nissan Sentra you guys will see soon. That's been taking a lot of my time. This car doesn't need anything really, so that's the reason for that. But come take a look in the engine bay. It's all original, bone stock. I took the car to a shop after having it for a few days, maybe a week. They told me that the engine mounts were a little worn, didn't need to be changed, but they could be. I already knew the tires needed to be replaced, but I had them source me some options. I went with Continental Extreme Contact Sport Pluses. They're sick, I love them. This is also riding on Coney shocks, so keep that in mind. I did injector seals because the injectors were leaky. I did the valve cover grommet seals, those were seeping. The car hunts when you start it up. At some point it'll start to hunt, so it'll go like so there's some shit I have to sort out, but there's also, now after I had this front motor mount replaced, much harsher vibration, so I'm gonna need to change all of them or look into transmission, stabilizer arm bushing. Only the best for my baby, which means I use AMSOIL Signature Series synthetic. Okay, that's fully synthetic. Right in here. So one of my favorite things about this car was the interior. I love the brown vinyl. I love the brown burgundy velour. Sporty looking seats. Only pitfall is that 4-speed automatic transmission. Really wish it was a 5-speed manual, but I can live without it. Power windows, power mirrors. I love the 4 buttons on the horn. It's just so quirky and easy to use. So I've got a real solid feeling steering wheel, but when I want to use the horns, I got 4 fucking options. Alright? 4! Love the pop-up headlights. They're beautiful. They work great. They go up in sync. Okay, all good things. I really like the simplicity of the interior here. You've got everything feels like it's right where it needs to be.
This is one of my 1986 Nissan Stanza wagons. This one's the 5-speed manual, and this particular one has been very unreliable for me. The mileage is questionable at this point since the odometer hasn't worked since I got it. It says 168,000 something miles on it. I'd say more likely it has closer to 200,000 miles on it. What's been done to this thing? Well, I fixed the brakes since the calipers on both sides were seizing in the front. It has new pads and new brake hoses. I had the radiator record since it was leaking. I have a new alternator in it since it wouldn't charge. It also has a new battery, CV axles, and a wheel bearing. This vehicle has still include the headlight being rusted out. The other one is starting to rust out, but it's not discolored yet. And the second thing is the radio and speaker wiring being all messed up. And the third thing being the transmission has a leak. And the fourth thing being the power steering rack bellows, which are like boots, the rubber boots. One of them is completely ripped and leaks fluid. This is such a cool car. It's such a shame that it's been mechanically not very well maintained. Seems like for a long time, based on the original air filter being in it when I took it out and the coolant that was in it definitely being original and looked horrible. Because yeah, the body on this car is in pretty good shape. There's minimal rust. The driver's door is the worst part, and the mirror cap being missing on that side. But the interior is pretty nice. I bought it, tried to fix it up as best as I could, but I think it's time to move on with this one. I have another one now, so hopefully this one's a little more reliable, and so far it has been. I've driven it already, probably like 4 or 5 hours worth, and had no issues.
guys, today we're sitting in my 1990 Nissan Sentra XE. It's a two-door sport coupe. This one has a 5-speed manual transmission, unlike the Accord with that 4-speed auto. That's probably my favorite thing about this car is how well it drives. In reverse, I didn't want to keep running, occupying my 12-volt port with a Bluetooth FM transmitter. So I went with this like entry-level Kenwood. It's not the greatest, but it's a big upgrade compared to the sound I was getting out of the factory stereo with upgraded entry-level speakers, which are also Kenwoods. So big attracting factor to this car for me was the fact that the interior was in such good condition, despite the exterior, which we'll get to. So the dash is not faded. It's got no cracks or splits or tears or anything like that. Really good condition all over. I always have it covered with a towel so the sun doesn't beat on it. And what I use to clean the interior and the glass is also contains UV protectants. So this car comes with 2-piece seat belts. So you've got a manual lap belt here, and then the other one for your chest is a power automated that closes on you when the door closes. The seating is blue velour. I really like it. The passenger side here is flawless, but the driver's side does have some wear on the bolstering, which is typical. So interesting thing about this glove compartment here, which I'm not too sure about this, but other B12 Sentras have more of like a glove box that drops down completely as a whole unit, whereas this is more of a, like I said, glove compartment. So the steering wheel on this, I wasn't always crazy about. I like Dan's SE Sport Coupe wheel a lot more. 4-spoke, looks sporty, sick. This is only a 2-spoke, but it's grown on me. These idiot lights are neat. I don't see them on Dan's either. I don't know if it's a 90 specific thing or what, but the cool thing about this light indicator here is that my brake light recently went out and then this started to come on. So this is there, to my knowledge, to tell you that you have a bulb out, which I think is really cool. So under here is the GA69, so that I stands for fuel injection. This engine, same as Dan's, is throttle body fuel injection. Only things I've done to this mechanically are a valve cover gasket, an oil pan gasket, and related seals. I recently put some earplugs in my AC lines because I didn't have dust caps. I've done spark plugs and wires. I need a new battery. So unfortunately my radiator, one day Dan noticed in his driveway that I was losing fluids, which turned out to be coolant. So my radiator drain plug, which was plastic, had sheared off and was just losing fluid from there. So was able to safely drive it to a shop nearby. I had a new radiator put in. Somehow they did that in like 2 days, which was awesome. I was stoked about that. And it's also an aluminum radiator. I also have had full exhaust done. It is straight piped with a cutout in the B-pipe area. the car's exterior is finished in misty blue metallic. It's got these vinyl pinstripe decals, which have like a leather appearance to them down here. It's also got this body stripe on the rocker. But you'll notice that there's a lot of rust, sadly. So, Exhibit A. Exhibit B. Exhibit C, which stretches around as rust does. Same on all the rust areas. It's spreading. It's not just what you see. So, Exhibit D. E. It hasn't quite spread into the gas filler neck, thankfully, but if I let this go too much longer, that's going to be rotted out. Exhibit F is actually surprisingly good. There's some rust starting, some bubbling down here, but pretty sturdy, you know. I'm just going to chill with the letters now, because I've honestly forgot, but here is starting to rust as well. Paint's bubbling. And the worst of them all is this driver's side front fender. It is completely gone. The frame and chassis are rotting as well. It's shot, man. So there's literally a plastic clip holding in this chunk of fender here.
This is my 1987 Nissan Sentra SE Sport Coupe. This car has only 10,000 miles on it and has been garage kept since new. I bought this car back in November of 2022, and I've driven it just a little bit and cleaned it up mostly. The only maintenance item I've had to do on this car so far was do a coolant flush, since the coolant was original. But other than that, it's had oil changes and was decently maintained for just, you know, having so few miles on it and sitting a long time. Starts right up, runs and drives good. Might have to do a couple little things mechanically here and there to it, but other than that, seems like a good car. So, after driving the 1990 Nissan Sentra my friend has, I decided, well, I kind of want one now since they're fun to drive. No, I didn't get a manual one, but found one with 10,000 miles, so I guess that's a win. But I love driving that one, and I enjoy driving this one, so they're good cars. They're pretty reliable. The other one that my friend has is pretty reliable too. It's only had a few issues, and I think he bought it with like 90-something thousand miles on it. So this being the SE Sport Coupe, the SE got alloy wheels, and it got adjustable driver's seat, bolstering, and I think it has lumbar too. Correct me if I'm wrong. What else? It comes with a sunroof, and it has a little center console. But other than that, there's like hardly any differences between the SE and the XE, which is the base model for the Sport Coupes. The Sport Coupe came standard with the sport seats, which you couldn't get in the regular Sentra. And in 87 and 88, you got a special dashboard that was more angular compared to the regular Sentras. And you got a special steering wheel if you got the SE models, or if you got the GXE on the sedan. But other than that, it's just basically a cooler looking, sportier Sentra with no more power, but there's some slight differences in driving it compared to a regular one in terms of like how it drives mechanically. But oh, and also you got fuel injection. The regular Sentras did not come with fuel injection until I believe '89.